Hi, are you guys ready to do some open houses? This is one of my favorite things to teach that's tactical. I like a lot of the other things that are more like, oh, you should probably do all of these things, and this is mindset, and you can do this. But I really like this one because I think that this is one of the biggest hacks to find more clients, because it is the excuse to do everything. And for some reason, experienced agents don't want to do open houses. I don't know what they're thinking, that they're better than it or something. But after you see this, you're going to see it and be like, why is every agent not doing this open house? And I don't usually drink energy drinks, and I'm going for one today. So I'm going to have tons of energy for this. So get ready for me to talk way too fast and give you way too much information. Um, but my first question is, who has run an open house here so far? Good. Okay. You guys get to say all of your opinions, and you can even question me when I say do this. And you're like, that doesn't work. Because this system I have built over the last probably 13 years for agents to run. And guess what? Today is different than the market was 2 years ago, than it was 5 years ago, than it was 10 years ago. So things change and we're going to change. So if you're like, that doesn't work, you know what? We're going to cross it off and we're not going to do it. And then if I remember, I'm going to tweak my slides. So next time I teach this, we teach the right thing. Or maybe it's going to start working again, right? It's bell bottom pants. They're coming back. If you were in the 70s, you're going to like, why is this a thing? I graduated in 2005. How do I say that? 2005. And so I remember all of those decisions that we made in style, and they're all coming back. And I think, why? That's not the thing. I don't know. Maybe I'm just getting old. I need a clicker. That's not the one. Just because you were running the world in 2005, Casey. All right. So let's talk about the power of open houses. Um, I love open houses because it's a fast way to get clients. If I told you that you have two ways to get clients, number one, you can talk to everyone that you know, and then you run out of people that you know. And then I say the number two way to do this is you go meet people you don't know. How would you go meet people you don't know? If it wasn't for open houses, what would you do? Bailey, she's gonna door knock. Ooh, go into like events. I like that. What else? What Try to steal from other people. Guess what? A model home is a open house that's always open. Yeah. Yeah, new builders, this is 100% their game plan. They build a really nice house and then they sit in it all day, every day. We just kick our sellers out for a couple hours on a weekend and do the same game plan. So we're not far off from what the builders are doing. It is very fast. Most people that come to open houses fit one of two categories. They are not in the market at all to buy a house, or they're 100% in the market and they're trying to buy a house. Feels like we got the two extremes. There's a few little stragglers in the middle that are here or there, but it's typically like great clients. You can build confidence. You know what happens if you run your first open house and you do an awful job? No one will remember. No one will know. And guess what? You get to do another open house the next weekend. So super awesome. And then we have a proven formula. We have like a process that you can run over and over and over, and it gets simpler and simpler the more that you do it, and you get better and better at it. And so you can have very great results. So here's kind of our flow that we're going to follow. Number one, you got to find an open house. If you have a listing, there you go. You have an open house. So easy to do. If not, we're going to talk about this more. You market that open house. This sounds too basic, but got to lay a framework here. You host the open house, and then you follow up. I think the two biggest opportunities are on this right side. how you market, and how you follow up. Because you know what most agents do when they do an open house? And I'm not going to judge you if you have done this as an open house agent. They get an open house and then they go and sit in that open house. And that is 100% of what they have done. And they're like, well, nobody showed up, or I didn't get any leads. Some people came, but they all had agents. Or I met these people and I don't know if they're ever going to buy a house. And then they do nothing more. So this is the side that most agents live on. This is the side where money is made. We're going to market like crazy and we're going to follow up like crazy. That is the hack to every single open house. So let's talk about finding an open house. And I wanted to log into the MLS so we could actually do this. Maybe I won't do it. It's not really that important. No, so really easy. You can just connect with listing agents, right? You can go and say, hey, who in this brokerage has a listing? On Tuesday, yesterday, if you were here for team meeting, I think we went through 40 listings in our listing time, like ridiculous amounts of listings. I mean, there was probably 10 of those were new construction for Salisbury Homes, so they don't really count. But besides that, that's like 30 listings of people that have a listing right now. You can go up to any one of them and be like, hey, are you running an open house? Because I would love to connect with them directly. WhatsApp, we constantly have this. This is in the opportunities section. If you're not part of the opportunities section, that's usually where it gets sent out. A handful of agents don't send it in the right place, but I'm not going to judge them for that. If you're quick, you can probably get an open house. And then you can search the MLS. There's nothing wrong with pulling up the MLS, finding houses you like, and reaching out to those listing agents. I would ideally start with the KW Westfield agents because they are easier to talk to, and we're at the same brokerage, so it makes all of the paperwork like non-existent. If you go outside of your brokerage, you're probably going to have to get okay from the listing agent, and who knows what their broker is saying that they should get and things like that. But you can also do things like that. So when you are looking for an open house, there's some things that you should avoid, and there's some things that you should find. Number one, you want new listings. That is like the secret. I don't know why this makes sense, because in my mind, it doesn't. The one thing that makes sense with new listings is the neighbors coming to the open house because it's brand new. They haven't had a chance to go see the house. They see it's on the market. They see there's an open house. The neighbors come. You want the neighbors because neighbors own houses and you want to sell houses because then you get a whole nother open house and get to do it all again. Besides that, most people end up showing up to an open house because of the signs. I had this agent, his name's Greg Lemon. He would do open houses for me all the time. I told him his one requirement was he had to track where everyone came from. Like, I want to know why people are going to your open houses. Really, it was twofold, right? The indirect of this is I want to know what he's doing to get people in the open house. So then I could tell my sellers, look at all of these awesome things that I did for you when I did nothing of it. Anyway, Greg tracked this over a course of like 6 months. He did an open house about every weekend. And he found that 75% of people that came to his open house came because of the signs he put out. So Greg, being smart, you know what he did? He bought more signs. And he had more people come to his open houses because he had more signs. So that being said, if you're driving down down the street and you see a sign that says open house and you're like, oh, let's go to that. You don't know if it matches your criteria, like bedrooms, bathrooms, anything like that. You don't know the price. You don't know if it's been on the market for a long time. You don't know if it's a good deal or a bad deal. You know nothing about it. Yet you walk into the open house. So the whole idea of new to the market, like, it's important, but it's not that important. But for some reason, new listings tend to get more traffic than listings that have been on there for a while. I can't explain it. Number two, you need to be in an area that you want to work. If you don't want to drive to Logan, don't host an open house in Logan. Because the idea, let's even back up for a second. What's your goal of an open house? Get leads, sell the home. I would say number one, you want to sell that house. as the buyer's agent, right? You want someone to walk in and then you sell that house. Number two, you want a whole bunch of leads. And then number three, if you really like the agent that you're helping out, maybe you're hoping that you help sell the house even though they have a buyer's agent, kind of an idea. So you want leads. So if your goal is to get leads, well, leads go to open houses where they're looking. They don't go to open houses here and then want to buy in Salt Lake County and vice versa. So if you don't want to show buyers in that area, don't host an open house there. So in the WhatsApp group, when someone's like, hey, who wants to host my open house in Tooele? You should not raise your hand unless you're like, oh, I have connections with Tooele. I have a buyer in Tooele already. I have another listing in Tooele. Let's go out to Tooele. And then maybe you sell a bunch of houses in Tooele. That could happen. But then you're driving to Tooele. So pluses and minuses. Ideally, this is going to match your target customer, right? If you are like, you know what, everyone I know is like a first-time home buyer, then it's so easy to host houses that would be like first-time home buyer type houses. If you're like, everyone in my sphere owns $1 million home, then let's host $1 million homes. Like, we're going to match the market. So then your sphere sees that you're doing houses like theirs or what they want. And so they start to do that. This is not as important, but it's also nice. Then there is an order of operations. Single family homes are the best things to do open houses on. I would start there. If you can't find a single family home that works, then it would be a townhome, then it would be a condo, then it would be a mobile home. Because if we look at some of these other rules, match your target customer and in areas that do you want to work. If your target customer is buying mobile homes, you will not make them a lot of money in real estate. You will have to sell a lot of them to make any amount of money. So let's level up. Condos, for some reason, are harder to get people in the open house. Like, imagine if you're doing an open house right here. Number one, signage is a mess because like you can get them into this like condo complex, but then like which building are you in? Where should they park? Like it's just a little messier. And then if you're on the like fourth floor, like some of those buildings, then it's like, hey, come all the way upstairs. And they're like, I don't want to do this. But for some reason, people buy fourth-story condos. I don't know. I would hate that. Like, just went to Costco. Now let's carry everything up the stairs. Hopefully I can get it all in one trip. But I don't know. Avoid homes on the market that have been long on the market or overpriced. For some reason, they're not doing well. You're not going to get good leads. Or if anyone walks into the open house, you're going to say things like, there's a house down the market for a little bit better. Do you want to see that? Because you're going to be in the overpriced listing. It's going to be stale. You want new, fresh. And this will help the marketing that you were going to do as well. So let's talk about marketing. This is why I think open houses are the best. Because could you imagine if Apple never advertised their phones or their computers or anything that they do? They just like told people that they were a really good company. Like, wouldn't that be weird if they're just like, let me tell you about like technology that we have. I'm not going to show you our product. I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to answer some questions that you might have about technology. I'm going to tell you that I'm really good as an Apple company. We're awesome. That's kind of what we do as real estate agents for a lot of our marketing, right? Is we're like answering questions on social media or sending out informational emails, or we do things that don't matter, like send recipes to people. I don't know how that connects back into real estate, but real estate agents did that for, I don't know, 50 years. People built full businesses on sending recipe cards to the people that they knew. Somehow they closed a bunch of deals from it. I don't get the correlation, but it's there. So you now have the time to market. So you can go crazy marketing this open house because you want as many people to show up. The ideal open house, my very favorite open houses, are when you get leads before the open house starts. Because then it does not matter if anyone comes in. Because when you're sitting in that open house, you are very reactive. There's not a lot that you can do when the open house starts to try to get leads. But before that, you have a chance to get a bunch of leads. And so if you sit in the open house, like I want that to be the afterthought, that the bonus that someone came in kind of an idea. Um, so let's talk about a few of these. I can't remember how many slides I have of this, so maybe we'll come up with some ideas. So I always, a common one is flyers and print marketing. You should create a flyer, pass it out a couple days before it, or mail it out. And then I like to add like a QR code, right? You're going to try to collect leads from this. So send them somewhere, make them register, make them give you information, or you give them some information that they're willing to give you an email address. Shoni yesterday talked about having like MOFR library, stands for Make Offers for Immediate Response. And you have like a landing page and you say like, here's the 10 tips to sell your house the fastest. And you could add those to your flyers. Or you can just say, if you know of anyone, send them to this website. And then your website just makes you register to see the house. I can't make it to the open house, see all the pictures. And it makes you register to see the pictures. Kind of an idea. So you can do things like that. In practice, what this looks like is I always tell agents, print out 40 flyers. On Friday, go to the open house, stand at that house, and turn one of the directions. And then go 20 or 10 houses down, cross the street, go 20 houses back, cross the street, go 10 houses, and then you should end up right back at the house. In practice, that is messy. I imagine my house, I live at the end of a cul-de-sac. If you went 10 houses, you're going to end up somewhere weird. You're going to cross the street and there's not going to be houses for a minute. And then all of a sudden there's a whole bunch of houses and then you come back. 40 houses, the closest ones are the best because they probably know their neighbors and they're going to give you information. Now, when you are distributing these flyers, you should have conversations. This is a knock on the door and invite them to it because you have the best excuse. You are adding value and giving them information. You are not selling anything. You are not hoping for anything in return. And so you have this opportunity to go and talk to all of the neighbors. Your goal is to find another seller. And so you're going to talk to all of the neighbors and be like, hey, I have an open house. You probably want to go see what your neighbors did to your house, their house. You probably saw that they were renovating, or maybe you've never walked through their house. I would love to show you their house. We're going to do an open house at 11 on Saturday. Have any questions? And you can ask them questions and be like, say things like, hey, I'm only allowed to sell this house once. It'd be weird if like 3 families all bought it and moved in together. So we're not going to do that. But that means that some other people will miss out on this house. Or maybe they're not going to like this house, but they'll really like the area. Who do you know nearby that I should talk to about selling their house or that's thinking about moving? Or that you don't really like and you want to move out of the neighborhood. Whatever you want to do so that you can get people there. Right? This is conversations. But I'm a fan of if they don't answer the door, leave the flyer, maybe they'll come. So you don't need to talk to 40 people, hand out at least 40 flyers. Boom. Plan your route, 20, 40 houses, bring your energy, get scripted. This is the script that AI came up. Hi, I'm Cameron with KW Westfield. I'm hosting an open house just down the street at blah. You're welcome to stop by. Or if you know of anyone looking to move in the area, send them my way. Great time for you to pick your neighbors. Me and my wife were just talking about this on Sunday, how we have like this weird gap of kids in our neighborhood. Like there's a whole bunch of kids for our older 2, and then there's like 2 kids for my next child, and then like my daughter, who's 2.5, has 0 kids her age in my neighborhood. So I'm like, how do we get some of these old people to move out? We need some new young families. And we were talking about all the old people that are probably going to die in my neighborhood real soon. And we're like, that'd be nice for a couple of them. A couple of them are like mean old men. And we're like, just move already. Like, you don't need to be here. You can call your sphere. You're doing an open house. People love walking through houses. There's literally a whole channel, HGTV, where some of the most popular shows are families and couples walking through houses and looking at them and then deciding which house to buy. This is like the craziest thing to me that that's what people want to watch. And now you're offering them that chance. Hey, why don't you come visit me and see this cool house? And you can do that. So you should message out to anyone that you know that might be thinking about buying or selling a house, anyone that lives in the area, or anyone that owns a house like this that you're doing, right? If you're sitting in a home from 1978 that's the split level home and you know one of your friends has that exact same house, you should call them and be like, so crazy. I just thought of you because I'm sitting in an open house or I'm about to host an open house of the same exact floor plan that you have. Like, how's it going? Whatever. Any reason that you can call them or to say, come visit me, bring your friends, bring your family. This is a great excuse to go talk to people. And again, it's not salesy, but you get to talk about real estate. It's an interesting reason to call people. Social media. You get to post a whole bunch that you're having an open house. The way that I would do this, besides everything that it says up there, maybe some of it this is said, is when you go to door knock the house, you should film yourself in front of the house. If the house is vacant or if the sellers are okay with it, you should film parts of the house as like a teaser to get people in there. Then you post this to your stories. The reason I would do this on Friday is if you are someone like me, I am bad at social media. And so I might look at Friday night as I'm chilling in bed. I'm not looking at it anytime Saturday because I'm running around like crazy and I'm in between things. I would love to go to an open house. And then I'm looking at social media again at like 5 o'clock that night. And if you posted a story at 11 o'clock, like, hey, I just started this open house, you know what? I missed it. But if you do it Friday, you can do it one Friday and then you can do one Saturday. Super easy. You get 2 posts. Definitely put it on Facebook and Instagram. We're going to have a social media class later, but if you're not doing both, you should definitely do both. They're different targets. Even if you're like, I'm really good at Facebook, you know what? Some of your friends are more on Instagram. And if you're really good at Instagram, some of your friends are on Facebook. And those friends are probably old. I get on Facebook to see whose birthday it is the only reason. You can post in local community groups. Almost every city or HOA or neighborhood has a community type page. Some of these are massive, you know, like there's an Eagle Mountain community page. There's like, if you live in Eagle Mountain, you join that page type of an idea. Get on Facebook, find those, post those things. If you know the sellers, you should also have them post something to their social media. Maybe you give them a graphic or something that they can share out to their sphere a day or two before the open house because you want them to do their marketing. Sometimes people that buy a house know the people that own the house, kind of a thing. You don't have to, but you can always boost your post. Again, your idea here is to get leads before the open house. So your whole call to action might be come to the open house, but it might be give me your email and then I'll send you more information about the open house. That would be better because then you have leads and then the open house happens. Okay, let's talk about other things. You can add to local calendars. Nextdoor is a website that is like a community page that is awesome. Community websites, blah, blah, blah. Strategic signage. We didn't talk about this much, but so we have signs at the brokerage. If you're like, I want to do open houses, but I don't have any signs, you can borrow them. I think they give you 5. I would suggest putting out 10 to 15 signs. So that doesn't math. If your first open houses, maybe you're going to do a bad job and you're going to put out 5 signs. I'm okay with that. Over time, you should probably own your own signs because there has been times where agents have texted me and said, there's no open house signs at the market center or at the brokerage. What do I do? I'm like, go to Home Depot. Hopefully they have some. Maybe Amazon can deliver the day of, kind of an idea. You should start to collect your own signs. So you should look on a map and see where is the house and where can I strategically pull traffic from. The most ideal roads are like this road right in front of our brokerage. It is a heavily trafficked area that people actually look at signs. If you go to like 8th North over here, then you're going to see cars driving 50 miles down the road. And if you put an open house sign, you're going to have to do like 3 or 4 for them to be like, oh, there's an open house, there's an open house, there's an open house, I should turn. And if they're in the left lane and they need to turn right, that's never going to happen. They're going to be like, ah, we missed it. We're driving on. But if you're here and you're like, hey, there's an open house, turn this way. People are like, oh, okay. And they'll just randomly turn. So these are the ideal roads. But then look from the house at like the map point of view and see all of the ways to get to that house. And you want to pull from all of those. Sometimes if you're like a long straightaway, you might have to have an open house inside just to be like, you're still going the right way. Like keep going, kind of an idea. Most neighborhood cities, everything are fine with open house signs. Some of them say they're not. How do I say this when I know I'm recorded? It doesn't matter. If you hear of an HOA that's like, we don't allow signs, do you know what? Your signs are going to be up like Saturday morning at like 10 o'clock. You're going to have them done by 1. If the HOA gets a complaint, you're going to be like, oh, sorry, I didn't know. And then you're not going to do an open house on that, that listing again. So I don't know how to say that better because I know this is recorded, but put out open house signs even if you're unsure if you can, type of an idea. Because again, signs are going to pull this. Okay, partner up. You can collaborate with lenders, title companies, builders, whoever, other agents. I've heard of like people collaborating with like 2 or 3 other agents in the same neighborhood and saying, we're going to do a grand open house and we're all going to market our open houses. And when someone comes, we're going to have flyers and be like, hey, you should go to this other open house. I think that's a cool idea. You need to make sure that you're the best at the open houses so you get the leads. Again, we want to sell the house, but we want you to get leads. So that's the number one thing. Has anyone heard about anything else that anyone has done that you think this might be an idea? Doesn't even have to be a good idea, but how else could you get leads before someone walks in the open house door? There's no way I covered all of them. Anyone being creative? Oh, Bailey's got something. Signs, yes. You get the little like sign guy, like come to my open house. Yeah, yeah, like that one that's like, I'm upset that I did that in front of the whole class. Dang it.
Get a 6-foot balloon like Ivory Homes.
Go crazy with something like that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You draw traffic in. Do it at night and do the whole lights like they do at clubs. We're not going to talk about this, but I wanted to mention like timing. When should you do your open house? Yeah, I like that. Late morning, early afternoon, kind of an idea. Um, Saturdays only, or do you do other days? You do other days? Oh, what were you to say? Sundays in Salt Lake work? Um, let's see, it's probably been an right after church. That would probably work well, really well. Come on in, guys. Church is over. Um, about a year and a half ago, I had an agent reach out to me and she lives in Salt Lake and she's like, I need help with my open house. We really need to sell it. We made a crazy price reduction. We're going to do crazy amounts of marketing, but I can't sit in the open house. Could you help me find 2 agents? I want one to do it on Friday from like 5 to 7. This was in the summertime, so there was light at that time, not like now. And someone else do it Saturday from 11 to 1. Guess who had more people? What do you guys? Who says Friday? Who says Saturday? You're all wrong. They tied. Trick question. Um, they tied. So I think open houses are typically like that opportunistic type thing. Like you're driving home from Home Depot doing a project that you don't really want to do, and you're like, oh, an open house, let's go. Or you're in between kids' soccer games, or you're coming home from work or something like that, and you see an open house and you're like, oh, I got a couple of minutes, or I don't want to do my next thing. Let's stop. And I think that's why Saturdays typically work well, is because so I have 5 kids. 4 of them play sports right now. So my Saturdays are just sports constantly. And the sports never align well. It's always like I have 3 games at the exact same time, and then when they end, I have 1 hour until the next game starts. And it's not an hour away, it's like 20 minutes, but in the wrong direction, so I can't go home. So I have like this weird 40-minute gap, and I'm like, what do we do for 40 minutes? And those are the people that go to open houses all the time. And so if you can catch those people in between sports and soccer practice drop-offs and things like that. But you know what? We have soccer practice or basketball practice almost every day of the week too. So if you did like tonight, I have to drop my kids off at basketball. It's an hour long and I get to go home and then go back. So I'm going to be home for like 20 minutes. But if there was an open house close by, like I wouldn't go because I don't go to open houses, but other people would. My wife all the time, she's like, oh, look, an open house, let's go. And I'm like, no, let's go randomly to see the house. Like we're both real estate agents. We can schedule a showing and go to this. We can do whatever we want. So, yes.
Does your sign has to show like Keller Williams Westfield? Are you gonna get in trouble?
You're making me question my thinking. None of mine do. Yeah, you're saying no? Yeah, they're all plain. Every house is plain, but with Dean's conversation yesterday, it makes me wonder, but I don't think so. You're going to be the same as everyone else if you don't have your branding on it. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. Okay, the best open house is you get leads before it even starts. So think as if you wanted leads that couldn't come to the open house. It's funny. I think I talk to AI differently than most people. So the other day I was like, hey, chat, let's have this conversation. Like, imagine you're running an open house with a goal just to get leads, but you can't actually be at the open house. What would you do to ensure that you get a whole bunch of leads and that some other agent was going to sit in the open house for you so you don't get any of those leads? And it like went through this whole like thought thing. And it's like thinking extra long. And I'm like, yeah, this is what I want. Let's do that, chat. And it came up with a handful of ideas. None of them were very good. Some of them were okay. Most of them were things that I had here. And then I said, okay, now imagine you had a budget of $1,000 to do the same open house. What would you do besides Facebook ads, besides Google ads to get all of these leads? And I was just trying to come up with lists and ideas. It did come up with signs and balloons and weird things like that. I think that's probably a good idea on the signage, right? If you have a sign, do like something that moves so people know that it's real. Balloons with helium are awesome because people are like, oh, this is real, this is fresh. Like the balloon's still floating, kind of an idea. Grabs attention, things like that. I've seen people do pinwheels and stuff to catch attention. I think it all kind of works, but that's kind of the idea is you want to figure out what should I be doing now that will cause me to get leads, right? The agent that's letting you do the open house is kind of opening the door to let you market to the open house. I don't know if they're thinking like this. This is how I'm thinking. If I'm running someone else's open house, they have given me permission to market it like crazy to get people to the open house. So I'm going to do just that. Okay, so now we had this crazy week leading up to the open house. By the way, the ideal day for me is you find an open house by Tuesday or Wednesday. And we'll go over kind of a checklist and how this looks because then you have time to do all of this marketing for it. So Saturday, when you're actually there, make sure you get there early. You want to open all the blinds and curtains, right? You want it bright in there. You might even turn on all of the lights and have the blinds and curtains open. Definitely like basements, all the lights are on, kind of a thing. Make every room feel inviting, like people are supposed to be there. If doors are closed, people don't want to open them. If they're open and it's completely dark, they don't want to go in there, kind of a thing. Uh, you can place off background music. Make sure it's a good temperature, like not this basement. It's freezing in here. People don't want to be here. If you walk into a house and it's vacant and the temperature is set to 50 degrees, you know what? You just crank that up and make sure to change it back when you're done, kind of a thing. Display any marketing materials, make it all look nice. AI thinks you should have a whole bunch of different keys on the on the table. And then set up a sign-in station. We'll talk a little bit more about the whole sign-in process here in a minute. Anything else that you think you might want to do as you're like setting up for the inspection?
Like large dog.
Yes, you're gonna like all of the pet stuff. You're gonna remove that. You don't want that to be the first thing, like, oh, dog ripped up the carpet. Oh, interesting. Towels down in the bathroom. I like that. I hadn't heard that one. That's a good one. What else? Personal pictures.
The buyer to come in and imagine done something in their house, not seeing you.
Yeah. Yeah, some of this, like if it's your listing, you have a little more control. And I always tell people to do the 3Ds. It's depersonalize, declutter, and deep clean. Like that's what your job as a seller is, and then that makes my job really easy. Um, so depersonalize, declutter, and deep clean. When you show up to the open house, you have a lot less control because you might have 20 or 30 minutes. You shouldn't be running around taking down all of the pictures and trying to clean their house, but maybe you are. Maybe you're going to do a little bit of cleaning and tweak and change some things. But you're not going to go take out like half the clothes from their closet and hide them in your trunk and then put them back when you're done. But sellers should do things like that because then all of a sudden they walk in and like, look at how much room this closet has. It's barely even filled. And it's like, yep, all my clothes are in my trunk right now. Um, so, uh, if you have the ability to, and you kind of do, you should let the sellers know how they should prep for the open house. A few things that I always want to let sellers know is number one, people steal things. So don't leave anything that is very valuable out. So like if you take out your earrings and put them in a little plate that's next to your sink in your bathroom and you happen to have like 10 pairs of earrings in there, maybe that's just something that you just put in your pocket when you leave for the open house, kind of an idea. Medicines are a big thing, right? If you have any prescription meds, you should probably hide those, kind of an idea. Um, I like to tell sellers to open the windows before the open house to like let some fresh air in, like, especially if they have dogs. I have a couple of dogs. They sleep in my son's room, and I will constantly go close his door and open the window. Like even like right now with it being like 30 degrees outside, and I'll leave it open just for a couple hours just to like let the stink of dogs and a teenage kid get out of the house. Um, what else do I have? Declutter, deep clean. Don't leave anything on the counters. Um, that's more of just like an opinion of mine. Like it looks good, but that's how I live my life. Like my wife hates it. She's like sets all her cookbooks up and has like a little plant, puts oranges on the counter. And I'm like, what if we just threw away all of that? Like nothing's allowed on my counter, but she has different opinions. And depersonalize. Yeah, declutter, deep clean, and depersonalize. So I mentioned that in my listing appointment, so they're prepared. Um, With this, you should probably have like an open house kit that you're doing. And in this kit, I would have a few things. I would have something to make the house smell better, uh, like a candle, Febreze spray, those kind of things. Maybe like a Glade plug-in, something like that. You don't want it to be overpowering, but you definitely want it to smell better. Um, you should probably have some like wipes to clean countertops. You are going to go randomly into people's houses and be like, why did you think this was ready for an open house? You're so crazy. And you're also going to go into houses that are vacant and they're going to have random dust and grossness that's just left there. And so just a quick wipe down of the counters looks super nice. Uh, on that note, you should probably have like some toilet paper in this little kit because oftentimes vacant houses don't have toilet paper. And if you're chilling in an open house and need some, you need some. Or more likely, a little kid is going to go to the bathroom in the open house, and the parents are going to be like, "This is so embarrassing. There's no toilet paper." And you're like, "Here you go." Things like that. If you are going to bring any sort of snack or food, make sure it is not going to make a big mess. And if it is, you're going to have some way to clean it up. Like some people will give drinks. Have paper towels in case the kid spills. Don't do popcorn because that is the worst. If you do cookies, expect crumbs, kind of a thing, like those type of an idea with it. So just be ready for all of that stuff. And this might change and you're going to add to it and you're not going to use most of it most of the time, but every once in a while you're like, I'm so glad that I brought this thing. Other things that you might want to bring in your little open house kit is, this sounds dumb, a foldable lawn chair. This looks awful, so I don't suggest it. But if you're sitting in a vacant house and no one's coming to the open house, you're going to be sitting on the floor. It's going to be weird. So you're like, do I sit on the countertop? Do I sit on the floor? Where am I going to be? If you could hide like a little chair, that would be awesome. But then when someone walks in and you're just chilling in the family room on your camp chair, it looks really weird. A broom, yes. Yeah, if you could have one of those little Dust Devil vacuum things to quickly clean up, those things are all awesome to have. So start setting up your little kit. Okay, so let's talk about when someone comes into the open house. There's two big schools of thoughts from good agents. There's probably 1,000 ways to do this, but the good agents kind of have one of two ways. What most agents do is they say, welcome, come on in, and hand them a clipboard and tell them to sign in. On this clipboard, it says what's your name, what's your email, what's your phone number. You can add other questions. The less that you ask, the more information you actually get. I'm also a fan of, if you're doing this version, to seed the tip jar type of an idea. So you should write down a fake name, an email, and phone number, and then hand it to someone else to do the same thing. Or maybe you write it left-handed, so it looks like two people already signed in and they gave all of their information. For some reason, when you have a list of someone that has given all of their information, they're just going to write down all of theirs too. If someone skips their email address or skips their phone number, you should make up a phone number or an email for them when they leave. Because then it looks like everyone is giving all of their information every single time. Yeah, you could just use the same one over and over and over. There's nothing wrong with that, especially if you have a list that has like 20 slots in it and you have 3 or 4 people that come to the open house. You can just use that over and over and over. I also put dots next to people and they mean things to me. You know, like if there's a dot on the left-hand side, that's like a person that I need to like focus on. If there's a dot on the right-hand side, they have an agent. Like I do weird things like that that signal to me what that means. So, because if you have a handful of people walk through, in your mind, they might all become the same person, especially if they all walk in at the same time. So if you can add little notes somehow, and maybe this is just your phone. You pull out your phone real quick and you say, hey, that one person that walked through should really be called. Her name was Josefina. I don't know. I don't know why I chose that as a as a name. I've never met anyone named Josefina. So that's one school of thought. You're gonna greet them, introduce yourself, hand them a clipboard to fill out. When they're filling out the clipboard, I also ask them questions. 2 reasons about this. I want to know some information. And number 2, I feel like if you're getting asked questions as you're filling things out, you just tend to do what you're told. Like you're kind of distracted, so you're just going to keep filling things out. The question that I ask of all new people is, are you one of the neighbors or are you out looking for a house for yourself? It's my favorite question. What I'm asking is, are you a seller or are you a buyer? If they are not one of the neighbors and they are not looking for a home for themselves, they will tell you more information than you want. It's the weirdest thing. When they don't fit your two categories that you tried to put them in the box, they're going to tell you everything about their life story. And I'm fine with that as well. The second way to do it that other good agents do is they come up, they have the clipboard, but they're filling everything out. So it would be like, hi, I'm Cameron. What's your name? Sophia. Boom. I'd write down Sophia. Sophia, what's your last name? Segura. Did I spell that right? Cool. Sophia, are you out looking for yourself or are you one of the neighbors just coming by to see it? And then I'd start writing all of this information down. You want to get their contact information the best way possible. So you can do this by either offering value by saying like, oh, Sophia, I have a flyer about the house so you can have all of the information. Let me just send that to you by text. What's your phone number? And then I'm going to text them, like copy paste same flyer over and over. And then I have their phone number. And I know it's right because I just text them that. Or you could text them a link to something like, hey, a lot of people probably have questions like size and bedrooms, bathroom stuff. So I have like the listing that you can look through. Let me text you that. What's your phone number? You can do something like that. It's real easy to get phone numbers and write them down. For some reason, when people say numbers, it's easy to write numbers down. When someone says an email address, they're always weird. It's like my email is 11, but not how you're thinking. It's the number one, and then we're going to spell out one. And then it's one, but like I won a competition. I'm like, what? That does nothing that makes sense. So sometimes when I'm getting email addresses, I'll be like, you know what? Will you actually write your email down? I typically try to send them something to their email as well. You can use the excuse if you don't want to send something, like the sellers have asked everyone to sign in. That's real easy. Do you guys know when you go to like a news website or you're looking at houses or something, and all of a sudden there's like that block, that paywall, and it's like, you can't see this anymore unless you pay me $1 or whatever. Subscribe and see. Give me your email and you can see this. We are doing that same exact thing, but in real life. You're going to meet them and then say, oh, what's your name? What's your email? What's your phone? And they're like, if they're like, no, I won't give you any of my information. You are allowed to say, oh, you're allowed to say, I'm sorry, like the sellers are requiring you to fill in this information to come in. Like if you don't want to, that's fine. You don't have to see the house. You're allowed to do things like that.
The agent over, you still ask all these questions.
Yep. And sometimes I'll literally write a little note or something and be like, oh, I'll like do a little checkbox to know that you already have an agent. If they tell me, oh, I have an agent, say, oh, that's so awesome. What's your name? And then what's your agent's name? And sometimes I'll write it down. And I'll be like, yeah, I'll just look them up later and actually let them know that you were here. Some agents actually do this and they'll reach out and be like, your client came to my open house. I do not do that. I feel like it's extra work for me that I don't care to do. But if they say you have an agent, get a name, a real name, because sometimes people say, I have an agent, which is code for don't reach out to me. I know that if I have an agent, you're not going to reach out to me. But if you say, what's the name? They're like, got me. I made it up. It's Josefina. Making up a name. So, natural conversations, like you don't need to be super scripted or anything like that, but be real, engage and talk to them. And then we're going to give them space. My favorite way to do this is give them something interesting to go see and report back to you. So if they just redid like the master bathroom, say, hey, make sure you don't miss the master bathroom as you're walking through. They just redid it. I want to know your opinion. And then you just say, go see the whole house. As they're walking through, when they come back, you're going to probably be hanging out in like the kitchen area. That's the best way. Kitchens sell houses, so hang out in that area. As they come back, you're going to re-engage them, be like, hey, what did you think of that master bathroom? And then that draws them in. And then you can start asking them all of the questions that you want. So if you were the agent in an open house and you just told me to go walk around and make sure I see the master bathroom, and then I saw the master bathroom, and then I came back and you're like, what do you think? And I say, I love that master bathroom. What would you say next? What do you love about it? And I say, I like the shrub. You know, that's a shower tub room. It's called a shrub. Yeah, shrub. Well, I heard another name for it too. So you can like yeah, like if you have like a wet room that has like a tub and a shower. Yeah. Okay, then we get done talking about the master bathroom. Then what? Where do you go from there? They've signed in. They're looking for a house. They like the master bathroom. They give you their opinions on it. How do you keep it going? Is this what you're looking for? It's a great question. What else? What else could you ask?
Scale of what? How well does this house meet the needs?
Yeah.
Because then they'll bring up, well, I could it's not big enough, or it was too fast, or then they'll bring up any of those that you can make.
Yeah. If they don't give you a number, do you push them? Or do you just let them kind of take the question? Yeah. More like that. Yeah. What would you rank this on a scale of 1 to 10? How well does it fit you? Why do you say that? Easy. What else could you ask them?
They don't like,
Yeah. Is there anything you didn't like? Easy. What else?
Ask them, compared to their house, and what do you like better about this house?
Yeah. Yeah. What do you like better about this than your house? You can start asking them any questions from here. Is there anything you shouldn't ask them at this point? I was trying to think of a good example of a bad example, but nothing came to mind. You should just be having a conversation with them. They are a potential buyer. So let's go down the pathway that they love it. This is like the house for them. They don't have an agent. They really enjoy it. What do you do? You make an offer. You're allowed to do that. Just make an offer. Something that I would ask in this scenario, if they're like, I love this house. I would ask them on the questions like, have you seen any other houses? Because if they're like, this is the first house we've seen and we love it, it's going to be really hard for them to be like, you know what? Yep, let's make an offer on this. For some reason, people don't want to make an offer after they see one. But House Hunters has taught us that you see 3 houses and then you buy one of them. So let's at least do that. So if they're like, no, we haven't seen any others, I'm like, well, we can make an offer on this house, or we could also go see a couple others, even this afternoon, to see how this stacks up. And if this is still the house, we can make an offer on that one, on this one. Or if one of those worked better, we can look at those. How does that sound? My open house is done at 1. Sometimes there's some lingerers. I could probably set up some showings for like 2 o'clock. You available? Boom. If they're like, yeah, I've seen a whole bunch of houses and this is the one, let's do this then. And then you need to explain to them your role. If you're the listing agent, you get to say, great, I'm the listing agent. And so how this works is I will help you write the offer, assuming they said they didn't have an agent, right? I will help you write the offer, but I actually represent the sellers. And so this is cool. You might be able to save some money with commission, blah, blah, blah. And you make the offer. By the way, you're looking out for your seller's best interests. So you're trying to convince the buyers to pay the very most amount of money right now. So saying things like, yeah, we've been having a busy open house where there's been a lot of interest in this house. Those kind of things that make them think, oh my goodness, we need to make an offer now and it needs to be great. Awesome. If they have an agent, you say, go talk to your agent. Let's make an offer. Who's your agent? I'm going to call them and talk to them a little bit about this. If you are not the, oh yeah, question.
So let's say have an agent,
Mhm.
yes, house. How do you introduce that first? They have to sign a contract with you.
Yes. So let's go down the path. You're not the listing agent and they don't have an agent. And they're like, I love this. Then you get to quickly say your value and why you are going to help them the very most. And so the easiest way to say this is like, this is awesome. I'm so happy you love this house. I think it's a great house. And you're in luck because I'm actually not the listing agent. So what that means is I am going to be on your side. And when I'm on your side, that means I'm going to try to get this house for the best price possible that we can. So I'm not going to try to make you pay the most. I'm going to try to make you pay the least. So what that looks like is I think we have some rooms for negotiation, and here's what I know, and I'm going to help you get this house for a little bit less. So with that, with me helping you out, I'm actually going to be your agent. And how that works is I am going to ask the sellers to pay my commission. If they don't, then you and I can have a conversation of what that looks like because I need to get paid for helping you somehow. But most times I'm able to get the seller to pay that. And then if this house doesn't work out, we can go find a whole nother house. Like I said, I'm not the listing agent. So if this isn't the house for you, we can find a different one. If it is the house for you, I'm going to get you the best price. And so you're pitching them like, oh, hey, I'm already on your team. Let's go get this for less. And if you know anything, like if you know that this is the fifth open house that they've had multiple price reductions, that no one's come to any of the other open houses, the listing agent told you that there's been no showings, then you're going to use that information and say, I'm making an offer, and you're going to go lower. If you know everyone and their dog has been into this open house and everyone loves it, then you're going to be the first offer or maybe go a little bit higher. So you can kind of play with that, but you're like, I'm on your side. Let's work this out. And then a lot of people expect to pay an agent or they know that that's worked into the deal. So sometimes just mentioning like, I'm on your side. By the way, I'm going to try to get the sellers to pay. If not, you and I will have a conversation of how I get paid. And 9 times out of 10, you'll be able to get the sellers to pay it for it. Probably even more than that. Yeah.
But you can't have, I don't know.
If you don't get a buyer broker and you help them write an offer, you are not their agent. So you're not going to get paid. So they have to sign the buyer broker agreement first and then the offer. And it could be, you could sign the buyer broker agreement just for that specific house they want to, or a very short period of time, however that looks to you. So how are we doing with time? Bad. All right, we talked about all this. Oh, by the way, capturing leads, you can go digital. There's a lot of digital versions of this that you like scan this QR code, fill this out, and then it can go right into command. So that's an option as you're filling up. Great question. I don't know. Search for open house systems that connect with command. The other thing, offer value. Hey, I'll send you a whole bunch of things. I have other listings to send you, whatever else you want to send them. And I'm a fan of take charge. Hey, what's your name? What's your last name? Let me send you a flyer. Blah, blah, blah. So post open house follow-up. So success happens after the open house. This is the most crazy thing to me. And every single agent that I know does this. They will get the name, the email, and the phone number of somebody. They will have a great conversation with this person. They will call or text them one time or email them, and they won't get a response, and they'll stop talking to this person. Like if I told you I have a lead of someone that wants to buy a house, they are actively looking for houses right now, call them and you will probably get a deal. Wouldn't you reach out multiple times if you didn't get a hold of this person? And then if you reached out and you had a great conversation, but you weren't able to like set an appointment or go see houses or any of those things, wouldn't you keep reaching out? But for some reason with open houses, we have these great conversations with people and then we're like, all right, hopefully you call me or something. Like, no, you're going to take charge. You're going to do this. So, my joke about this is real estate is not dating. So you are allowed to follow up with people before the like 3-day rule or whatever dating says you have to do. Like you have an open house Saturday, you know what? You can text them that same day. That is allowed. You can text them on Monday. You can call them. You can do all of these things. You don't have to wait some weird rule or anything like that. It's not going to seem like you're so desperate. You're just going to seem helpful. So, what this looks like to me is the same day as the open house, I would text them, thanks for stopping by the open house today. And then whatever makes the most sense, right? You talk to them. You have notes about them. You know who they are. If they're like, this isn't the house for us, great. Would you like to see any other homes? They're like, I love this, but we're not in a position. Hey, I'd love to connect you with my lender. Are you cool if I have him text you? Whatever this looks like, send some sort of text. This could be after they walk out of the open house while you're still sitting in the open house. That can be a thing. I say 2 days from then, because I don't want to work on Sunday. I want to do nothing that day. That's my lazy day. I'm going to do a phone call. Hey, just wanted to see if you wanted to meet up. I actually sit down with people like you all the time and help them get on the right path to buy a home. I'd love to do that with you. AKA, I'm going to have buyer consultation with you. Then maybe a couple days later, send an email with a bunch of listings, or maybe text, hey, I found a couple of listings that were similar to this open house, but I think might be a better fit for you, whatever that looks like. Do that again. You could add them to an email drip. There's a whole bunch of these in command. If you go to Smart Plans, there is a Smart Plan library. So you can go see a library of other agents at Keller Williams and what they are sending to people. And then you can literally click copy and then boom, that becomes one of your Smart Plans. So you can go find an open house follow-up plan and add them right to that. Or you can say, I like this one, and I'm going to go create my own. People care about houses. So I like to set people up on a saved search to get them to see houses. I often will try to get people to download my app when they're at the open house, because then I can see if they're looking at houses. I can easily send them houses. They get notifications, things like that. But have some sort of a plan like this. I'm trying to remember numbers. I did research last year about all the different ways that people find their agent, right? Every year, National Association of Realtors says how people found their agent when they buy a house, and they give them percentage. The biggest chunk is they already knew the agent, or someone in their friends or family knew them. So it's a sphere of influence and referrals. Those are the two biggest chunks. Then there's a whole bunch of little small ones. Open house is one of the bigger of the small chunks. It's something like between 4 and 6% of people found their agent through an open house. And this is both buyers and sellers. So sellers are finding people and through open houses, just like buyers are. More common for buyers, though. The research that I did is I wanted to know what the time frame for things are and how many leads do you need to get before you get a closing. open houses where you need to get somewhere between 25 and 50 leads to have one closing. So in theory, if you get 5 leads per open house, you need to have 5 to 10 open houses to have a closing. That sounds like a lot, but then think of it this way. Imagine that you did an open house every single weekend and you did 5 open houses. You're one of the better agents because you have a whole plan to market. You have a whole plan to follow up. So you're going to get a closing every 5 open houses. You do that in a little more than a month, sometimes a month, you find a closing. Maybe you spend 2 hours at the open house and maybe like an hour preparing. So you're like 3 hours for an open house. So you're like 15 hours for one closing. The average commission right now is $12,500. So for like 15 hours of lead generation, you make over $12,000. I'm okay with that kind of ratio. If you get to I need 10 open houses to make $12,000, like that's a little bit worse, but still, would you work 30 hours if I told you that you would make $12,000? I hope the answer is yes. I would take that every day of the week. So don't remember where I was going with this. Your open houses might not have 1,000 people in them. They might not crush it. But if you get people and you follow up with them, you will have leads that will end up closing. There's an agent in here, Amy Timont. This is her on the wall. She is not even 2 years into real estate yet. She's about 1.5 years. It's this one, Amy here. Look how shaky I am. That's how much caffeine's in my body. She had an open house almost the first week she was in real estate. She did an open house. She joined in May. She had an open house. She met a guy, happened to be from Chile and played tennis, and she loves playing tennis. So she would follow up with him. They actually started to play tennis. They became friends. He bought a house exactly 1 year later, closed in May. But she just followed up with him all the time and ended up closing him. So you never know. It's building your pipeline. Some of these people are going to close within 30 to 60 days because they're now buyers. Some of these people are starting the process and that is their first step and they're months away. Some people would love to buy a house and love to live in this neighborhood. So they're looking at these open houses and they're a little bit further out. You don't know, but keep following up with everyone. Prioritize unrepresented buyers. If they say they don't have an agent, they should be your priority number 1 because those are probably your next leads that you're going to get. Try to schedule consultations. If they're not going to buy that house, you should set up a buyer consultation. And I think next week we're going to have an example, one of those. So get ready for that. Follow up. Even though you met them, even though you talked to them, you should follow up. Most agents don't. Here's the thing. If they went to your open house, what are the chances they have been to another open house? What are the chances that they'll go to a different open house? They might even see 3 or 4 open houses that day. If you are one of 3 or 4 agents, what are you going to do to make sure that they work with you over any of these other agents? And the answer is not be a good agent. Here's the craziest thing that you should learn being new. New agents, good agents, like they're really good at their job. Like they're good at negotiating. They're good at selling houses. They're good at doing all of those things. They typically don't close more houses than a bad agent who's not good at negotiating, who's not good at selling houses. Do you know why? Because how often do you sell a house? So you don't have anything to compare it to. You know, it's like if you have surgery, you haven't had that surgery before. You probably don't know many people that have had that surgery. So as long as you have no complications and you're good afterwards, you're like, yeah, that was a good surgeon. Well, you don't know if they were good or not because you have had one surgery. It's the same with houses. You go and you sell a house a year, every decade. You don't know if that agent's actually that good. So the secret to selling more houses. You don't have to be good. I want you to be good because that will help with referrals. Things get easier as a good agent, but it's all about lead generation and lead follow-up. If you can generate more leads and follow up with more leads, you will close more deals than other agents. So that is definitely what you need to do. So I have this checklist. If you want this should go to a Google sheet that makes you copy it. It is basically everything we talked about in a like a checklist style. So how you could use this is every time you have an open house, you rechange the date you're going to do the open house. It should change the date that you're supposed to do all of the tasks. It has a link or a tab for scripts if you don't know what to say. It has like a seller checklist that you can send to the seller or to the agent to send to the seller. It has everything that you can do. I've tweaked and changed this over a long period of time. So I feel like this is dumb, I shouldn't do this. There might be an aspect of, well, everyone should do this. This is actually a great idea because no one else is doing it. And there might be a like, this is a little dated. Let's try it. If it doesn't work, let's do this. This is meant to be your open house system that you now have. So you're starting at an 8. I need you to go make it a 10. You do that by testing and iterating. So run it like this, do all the things that don't work well for you. After doing it a handful of times, we're going to remove those. If you do something different, if you say something different, add it in here so it becomes like your system. Okay? This is how you go build what you do. You get systematized. Okay, so we're going to practice an open house. There's so much we could practice. Casey's gone. He's like, we're practicing. I'm out. So I want you to practice as if someone just walked into your open house. So you're going to find a friend. One of you is going to be a buyer. One of you is going to be hosting the open house. And I want you to do that initial thing. You can have a fake sign-in sheet, so you don't have to actually have that. But I want you to get good at what you would say. Make up the house, whatever it's like. Oh, by the way, I was going to mention the thing that I always give them that is interesting does not have to be a positive thing. It could just be, what do you think about this? Like, you'll notice they painted the kids' rooms in all different colors. I'm curious if it matches how you would have the kids' rooms if you were to buy this house, or if you would need to paint when you move in. And then when they come back, they're like, oh, nope, that doesn't work. It's all girls and we have all boys or whatever. And you get to talk about that. Hey, outside, you'll notice that there's a busier road right behind there. I didn't think you could hear anything. I want your opinion as you go out and think, if my kids were playing out there, how would it be? Doesn't have to be positive, doesn't have to be great. Not everyone just redid their bathroom or painted it nice or has any cool features. Hey, you got a cool view of the mountains from this. You can see right into that neighbor's bedroom. How would you feel if that was your house? Whatever you want, just you're calling out something. So that's what we're going to do. So you're going to like walk in, greet yourself, get their information, make this all feel normal, figure out if they're a buyer or seller or whatever, go tell them to go look at something, and then you're going to wrap around and re-engage them, ask them a whole bunch of questions. If you were the buyer, and we're going to swap roles after a minute, if you were the buyer, you get to come up with a whole backstory, right? Make it whatever you want. You could be like, I'm going to buy a house today, and this house doesn't match at all. Or your backstory could be like, I'm not going to buy a house at all. I just love walking through open houses. It doesn't matter your backstory. Come up with one. It could be how you, like your real life right now. Like that's always the easiest for me. Oh, I have 5 kids. This is a 4-bedroom house. This doesn't quite work for me. Like those kind of things. And so then I could use that. So use whatever you want, whatever your backstory is. It could be real, it could be fake, but come up with kind of where you think you are in your fake buying process that you're coming up with. And then you as the agent should get that information. and then give feedback to each other, and then we're gonna swap. Okay? Questions? Whoever you want. And I'm okay if you do kind of like groups or whatever you want, but I want everyone to be an agent for a minute. Yeah, so they're an hour and then we do some practice, but we're real bad at ending in an hour. Yeah. Maybe everyone else is good. I'm real bad at ending in an hour. And you might want to walk around too, like make this real. You got to like introduce yourself, take charge of it, however you're going to do it.
Oh, yeah.